from left to right, you can see the whole map. You can see the start points, the start zone. You can just about see it, the lines. That's kind of how it ends up looking. You'll make more sense of it as you get used to it. It's a bit messy because of the hills. They always make it a bit messy. You've got your blocks and that kind of stuff. And that's it from left to right. But we want to get this out of the way. So we're going to make sure that's clicked, make sure it's all pink. Zoom in. And if you can't see the grid as fine as this, keep pressing these square brackets. It's the one like underneath the plus and minus keys on a UK keyboard, but it's the square bracket open and close keys. And when you press them open, the right one, it'll make it a bigger grid, and the left one will make it a smaller grid, and that adjusts how finely you can select. Because the tolerances of how we've had to get the players so tightly fit in there, because otherwise they get knocked a little bit to the side and suddenly you can't shoot them properly. We've had to do it on the finest grid, so literally just mash it all the way to the left, so it's on really fine. And you just want to drag that away a bit. You can really just, for the sake of now, you can just drag it a bit to the side, or drag it behind, really. We'll drag it behind. So from the top-down view, above is behind, but down is sort of the back. So you can see, because all these square boxes, those are the hills, these little bits with the X in it are hills, and that's the clear back. So we've moved that behind. So now when we look at it, what we've just done there is we moved that behind. If we looked at it on the 3D view while we were doing it, then you would see it moving around like that. So we moved that back. Yay. We just uncovered our geometry, and now we can actually edit blocks. You can see we've got the blocks here. All of that, those are our start points. We've got loads of start points inside our little start zone. And we've got some blocks there, so we want to add another one. So what we're going to do is, because we want to keep the same aspect of block, we want to initially make sure the arrow key is selected from the tools for the left. We want to click a block. That will save the current dimensions of the block as a preset, and will kind of save that aspect when you drag it onto a 2D face. So in this case it will save the thickness and the position. So we then want to click the white box icon there, which is create brush, which is like a world block. You then want to move your mouse onto the bottom right window and mouse wheel in. Actually, if we click back on the arrow tool for now, we'll be able to more easily see where it is. Yeah, we can now see. We've got a nice little block here. We can see the lines around it, and we can see how big it is. Now we've got two options. The first option is we can make a new block entirely, in which case we do what we're going to do. We click the white block, so new brush, and we just drag it on the 2D face. So we just want to make sure it aligns. But that isn't so hard, so because we've got this bottom left face, to screen, we can zoom in, we can just check it all aligns. That's where it all aligns there, so you can see that's all nice and neat. Lovely. Alright, I think we might even be able to up the grid a bit. Basically, the higher you can have the grid, the easier it is, but the less neat it kind of, the less you can play with it as such. Less you have to fiddle around too, so is that accurate enough? Yeah, that's accurate enough. So what we've done there is we've just used that and we've dragged it just on this bottom right face, and that's created this outline here. I haven't actually created the brush yet, we've just outlined it. So we want to confirm our selection, because this looks like a fine size for a block, by hitting the enter key. And now you can see it's popped up. It's a real block now. So we have a block. Now we can click the selection tool again, the arrow thing, and you can see it's selectable, and we can drag it around. We can still resize it, but you only really want to drag it on this plane. When you're changing blocks, you only want to move them on the bottom right screen, because that will keep them aligned to the grid in all the other ways. And you just want to make sure that it lines up with the others. You can see they're all on one nice line there. Lovely. Great stuff. So, yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's the gap, so the player doesn't get stuck. That's just a nice thickness. So, I'm going to Z, we can see we've got a lovely new block, and that's it. We just added a block. That's the first step. You've added the block. There it is. There's There's another way we could copy it. We can choose the fucking hell. God, you can choose the select tool and you can click it. You can hold down shift, and in our bottom right face you can hold down shift and you can literally drag it and it'll clone it, and you can just do that loads of times. You don't want to let them overlap, but that's a really easy way. You can just clone them and just drag them and make them different sizes. Make platforms, and there you've made some blocks, but they're just fucking blocks. That's really awful. That doesn't even look that nice. We need to make it a bit better. So how about a ramp? So what we're going to do is we're going to change this bar into a ramp. So to do that, we've still got our selection tool. We're going to click while it's selected and while it's got this nice red and yellow outline. We're going to click it in the 2D plane. The bottom right 2D plane is very important you do that, and you can see it changes. So we've got the 4 circles around the outsides. These are rotation tabs. So we click it and we can see that now it's a ramp. Cool. So we've got a ramp there. You can make it more accurate, but for now that will be absolutely fine. If you want to make it more accurate, you can just take off snapping, or you can go into tools, options, 2D views, and default to 15-degree rotations. You can take that one off if you want, but for now it's good because it means things will easily line up. If you want to make another ramp, it will really easily line up. You won't get all mixed up. So we've got that. I want to make a block link into this, so we've rotated it. We've got another block here. Drag it up on the 2D plane, but these 2 blocks don't match. That's not good. That doesn't work. So what we do, this block is already flat. It's got a nice side. Let's make this one flat at the end too. So we click it, and then we click the little wireframe icon on the left, and we can see it's got these little things here. Extra options we can click. On this face, the bottom right face, always the bottom right face on this game, right folks. Click the, we can see the outline of it, how it is, so we click the bottom right one, and we're trying to retain its aspect as much as possible. That'll do. We just drag it back one, and then click the select tool again, and it's nicely resized. We can then drag this brush. Whoop. Hasn't quite mashed up, so we can click it again and go on the wireframe. We just click that, just make sure it's all nicely matched up there in Hammer. Always nice to have it nicely aligned to grab, nicely grid. Otherwise you get little gaps and it looks fucking horrible. So there we go, perfectly aligned ramp leading into another ramp. We're getting there. That bottom bit looks crap though. What's it doing there? Let's chop a few bits off here. So we're going to get our selection tool, click on this block, and we're going to chop some bits off it now. So zoom out with the mouse wheel. We want to get a nice view on here. We can see this block, and I'm going to round it off around here. So what we're going to do is we're going to get our clipping tool, and we want to drag on the first dot where we want to start clipping, and we want to drag to where we want to chop it down to. And you can see this part, the bottom left part has become red and the top part is white. And what that means is it means that we're keeping the top part of the snip, and the bottom part, the red part, is being cut off. If we click the clipping tool icon again, then it'll switch. Both white means it'll just create a line in it, it'll just divide it, but we want to delete that bottom section, so we're going to leave it like that and hit enter. Snip, it's just snip that bit off. We're going to do the same, round it off here at the other side. It's really important to, when you're doing a snip, to drag it all the way to the other side. Don't just drag it like one in or something like that. You end up with a horrible line at the end. It doesn't quite match up, so make sure you can you drag it all the way to there. You can still do nice snips. Oh, fucking hell. Undo that. I'm not even paying attention there one bit. Yep. That gets people all the time. You just got to make sure you get the right one round. There we go. And it's fine. The only thing is, you have to keep the angles outwards. you can't have any inwards angles. You can't curve it in like that. That's a big no-no. No inwards curving angles. They all have to be outwards shapes, all big angles. It doesn't like inwards angles. You have to divide it up or even make models for that. But that's fine, because what we've got here is pretty cool. We could make that a bit smoother if we wanted to. We can click that. And we've gone into the wireframe tool again. Oh, click it again until it's got all the options there. Now we want to click this vertex and this vertex while holding down Control, so they're both clicked. And now we actually no, let's not bother splitting up faces. You'll end up ruining things. Let's just drag it up, and we'll just make it a bit. See that we can't do that already. That's looking bad. No dragging in. So we're going to do it like that. And then we're going to drag another block in. Yay, welcome to Hammer. It's really, really awesome. It's a super advanced tool. And you can just drag that in. You can snip it to size if you really want to. Snip it off, just snip off the bits you don't need. If you want to get a complete angle, you've got to make sure you drag it all the way to the whole line. Make sure you match it at the other point. This is going to be, I can't even do that, so a bit of fixing here in the wireframe tool. Drag them so they all match up onto the grid. Otherwise it's a real bitch making things line up. So now we can go back into this thing, and we can clip that properly. Drag it down all the way to the other one. Click the clipping tool again, snip that off, and what we've got is what starts to be more of a nicer ramp shape. Clip a bit there off the bottom, or even I want to be careful. If we change that bottom angle, it's not going to match up with our clip there, so I'll just put it like that. That'd be fine. So we've got that there. You could even take that again and reuse it. So you shift and drag. Just pop that in there. Get our wireframe tool out. Make it match. All of a sudden we start having actual parts of the map. We start having a nice ramp instead of just shitty old blocks everywhere. You actually start to have assets. So the next thing you want to do is you want to texture them. You've started to make these blocks. You started to make it look cool. For the sake of the tutorial, we're going to leave the start zone here. I'll show you placing entities later on. So the map will already work. We've already got all the lighting and everything done for us. So we've just added some nice ramps. And we want to change what they look like. So what we want to do to start with is we want to get the select tool. We're going to hold down Control and want to select all the parts of this, because this isn't just a block. This is a block and that's fine, but this isn't just a block. This is like a multi-piece. So we want to go into our materials, which is this little jigsaw puzzle box, or like Jack in the Box thing. So you click that and you get the face edit sheet. We've already got all these selected now, so we want to click browse on here. In the filter, type in no draw. Double click that and click apply. It'll go all yellow, yay! And that yellow basically means that that's a texture that means this isn't going to be drawn, and it's useful to put because these got bits which are touching each other here. So now what we want to do, you want to go back into the materials thing. Once you go into the materials, it's good to click a few just to make sure you haven't accidentally selected the whole block. And you want to manually hold down Control and select all your outward facing blocks.